What hobby screams, "This is my entire personality now"? Pilot here, and non-pilot military flyer. Aviation. And for how much you're paying to do it, it makes sense. And then, once you're paid to do it, you have to do it really well, so you're constantly practicing. Can't believe I had to scroll down this far to see aviation. With all of the jokes about how do you know if someone's a pilot, and the answer is, they'll tell you, etc. I think aviation is a perfectly fine thing to become your whole personality. You can fly a plane. Way more interesting than, I own a Jeep. My friend learned to ride a motorbike and fly before he learned to drive a car. Somewhere, flight sims were a thing for him too, but I have no idea if that came before or after he was flying microlights. Dude is a professional pilot now. I'm happy he got to turn his hobby into a career, but damn, that schedule can be rough, especially when he worked for a smaller company that did dodgy things with the schedule. Anime and games. I'm guilty of both, but come on, a lot of the community makes it their whole personality. Weightlifting? I know, because that was me a few years back. I still go to the gym, but it's no longer my entire personality. Looking back, it was really cringe. I powerlift, and I don't talk about it to others who don't work out either, but I used to, and yeah, super pretentious and cringe. I'm a parent myself, but I seriously can't stand parents who have to relate everything back to being a mom or dad now. Adults under 21 with fast cars financed by their parents, it becomes their whole identity until they total it or lose their license. So many different answers, and I was going to say Warhammer 40K. Yarn craft. You can expect every gift to be made of yarn and or not delivered on time. I just started fishing after not having done it since I was a child. As I was on the pier, it hit me that this reminds me of gambling. Like, it must feed the same parts of the brain. I literally felt like each cast was the one. So now I have to do this instead of playing cards. It's healthier. Not owning a TV, despite having a laptop with 6 subscriptions to streaming services. Volunteer firefighters. I met one on Tinder one time, and it was all that he talked about. I find it funny nobody mentioned the obvious one, watching professional sports. It's literally the only thing some people talk about, and a lot of them watch it for 6 or more hours. Agreed. I recently read a statistic that said something about how spousal abuse can be attributed to someone's team losing. It's insane. I recently purchased cable and was so excited to get back to watching sports, not to mention watching all the Olympics. But my God, watching the nonstop commercials makes me want to scratch my eyes out. Like, I can't do it. It's terrible. I have colleagues who talk about nothing but Formula One all day, every day. It's talk about the cars and the drivers and the courses. I'm just thinking how much there is left to talk about. How can one driver getting a new car make these guys talk about it for 12 hours straight? At my house, it's gardening. Good news, keeps me home a lot, and I can talk to myself about snapdragons and no one will look at me funny. When I talk to actual people about it, they already know I'm half-cracked and don't care. Lol. Can confirm, I will talk to anyone about plants if they're interested. To go with the topic of plants, some people have decided to take up vermiculture, raising worms. I raise them because they produce the absolute best fertilizer, and if you use it on your food, it will give you a 30% higher yield. Plus, they eat food scraps and cardboard. You don't want to talk to worm people. We are weird. LOL. Edit. If anyone wants to learn more about vermiculture, go check out Captain Matt at wormpeople.com for all of your worm needs. I'm just here scrolling, looking for a new hobby to take up. Look no further, internet stranger friend. Behold, reddit.r/theocho. Partner dancing. It's social and it gets you moving. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like $3 to $15 per week for social dances, depending on where you live. You should definitely crochet. You can start with the Woobles kit. They give you everything and step-by-step instructions. Not really a hobby, but I've been pretty into craisins lately. You know, cranberry raisins? Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is a fun sport and martial art that's also super engrossing and a bit cult-like. Lol, I used to sit there and think of counters to moves and dream about it, and grapple with my girlfriends when I trained BJJ. It definitely consumed me, and I eventually quit because of that, and how everyone there who was older had tons of injuries.
I miss it so much, but I don't miss the type of people I have to interact with. Love a lot of the guys, but boy, there are too many stinky fart mouths. I mean that figuratively and literally.
This was worse than CrossFit for a while, but I feel like it is, thankfully, dying down a bit. Pretty much everyone I know who really got into this sport got physically jacked up somewhere in the early to late intermediate stage. It's like the BJJ people and mountain bikers must all be hanging out in post-op together. Podcasters. I dated a guy once that had a podcast with roughly 12 followers. He spent all day, every day talking about his podcast and asking if I'd listen to his podcast and making me listen to his podcast and asking me what I thought of his podcast and asking me what he should do next on his podcast. That only lasted maybe 2 weeks. I've met a few other podcasters and the experience was similar.
A family friend took up podcasting when he really needed to take up therapy instead. He was secretly cheating on his wife, being an absent father, airing all his dirty laundry, and trying to spin it all into some grand life lesson with toxic positivity woven throughout. He's still trying to become a social media influencer, but I wish he would just stop. It's not healthy for him or anybody listening to him, and his poor teenage children have to live with all of their family's dirty laundry being aired out in the open.
The professional poker player who only plays online and it's their only source of income?
Can't believe I haven't seen CrossFit or veganism. Did those stereotypes die?
I know it's an old stereotype, but honestly, I know several vegans, and you would have no idea they were vegan unless you asked them. The actual insufferable ones are those people obsessed with their diet. You know, the ones who tell you how much protein and carbs and fiber and no macros are in every meal they eat. Those aren't the vegans.
An exotic pet. I have never met someone who has an exotic pet that doesn't feel the need to bring it up every 2 seconds.
To be fair, I have a non-exotic pet, dog, and I still probably bring him up every 2 seconds. Not a hobby, but I know a girl who has become a realtor, and dear God, I've never seen something consume a personality like it has done to her.
During my younger days, I dated a realtor and an attorney, and holy smokes, those people love to get together and tell each other how great they all are. It's insane.
I very briefly looked into getting my real estate license, but quickly realized how loony and borderline multi-level marketing it is. I know a few close friends that did realty and managed to be somewhat normal people for the most part. It definitely takes over some people's personality.
It's different when it's a job. The real estate world is so unbelievably cutthroat, they kind of have to conform to a certain type. It's like high school all over again, especially for the women.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It really helps. Subscribe for more and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one.